Two. We got to the new parak?
No.
That was today, isn't it?
No, I think it's one or two lines left.
You said that Rabbi Akiva removed and towards the end there. The Ola. Ola was
Amen.
Okay. All right, so let's start again from there.
Did you get here? I didn't see it.
Great. Okay, good. So again, the Gemara is talking about the law that something which is obligated. Oh, thank you. Something which is obligated eno ba'elam and achulin can only be brought from secular things. It can't be brought from Maaser Sheni. As Roger said, we can't double dip. We already separated something to fulfill our Maaser Sheni obligations. We can't now say, okay, it's fulfilling Maaser Sheni. I'll use it for another obligation. So it's all derived from Karban Pesach. So the Gemara says, according to Rabbi Akiva, Pesach deino ba'elam and achulin minali. How does he know that a Pesach can't come from Maaser Sheni? He's not going to learn it from the Pesach of the Midbar or the Pesach of Mitzrayim, because there it was Efshar, something which was impossible. According to Rabbi Akiva, Ein danin Efshar mishefshar. You can't learn that where something where it is possible from something where it wasn't possible. So the Gemara says, Nafkalei had Amar Shmuel. Rabbi Akiva sources from the lesson of Shmuel, from a verse. The verse is unnecessary. It says, Zos HaTorah, this is the law, La'ola, V'la Mincha, V'la Chatas, V'la Asham, V'la Miluim, U'lezebach Hashlamim. So this is the law for the Torah, this is the law for Ola, for Mincha, for sin offering, for guilt offering, for offerings to inaugurate holiness, for Shlamim offerings. So one second, we already have those phrases, Zos HaTorah, in regards to each one individually. So apparently it's to teach that there's an aspect of Ola, an aspect of Asham, an aspect of Mincha that's taught to all the other Karbanos. So what does it teach? So again, Ola, what does Ola teach you? Ma Ola Tu'una Kli, just like Ola needs a vessel, Avkol Ton Kli. Every Karban needs a vessel. Mai, what vessel are we referring to? Ilam Mizrak, if we're referring to the vessel of a bull to catch the blood. Rabbi Zev Reichman, it's already explicitly in regards to the sacrifices, even the shlamim brought by the nation, Vayasim Ba'aganos. Yet he put it into the bowls. Ela Sakin, to teach you that the slaughtering needs to be done with a knife, and it can't be done with a stone or with a twig. Ola Gufa Minalan, how do you know that the Ola needs a knife for the slaughtering? Because it says that Avram Avinu, when he went to do the Akedah, Vayishlach Avram Mesiyado, Avram sent his hand, and he took the knife, Lishchodes Beno, in order to slaughter his son, and that was an Ola. What's the proof that it was an Ola? Hasam Ola, because ultimately when he doesn't do it for his son, he does it for the ram. The verse says that he brought up the ram in place of his son. The offering of the ram was an Ola. What do we learn from the word mincha? Mincha teaches you just like a mincha can only be eaten by male kohanim, it can't be eaten by women. So too other karbanos can't be eaten but to men. They can't be eaten to women. So the Gemara now asks, what are we trying to include in saying these karbanos also can only be eaten by male kohanim? If we're going to say that just as a mincha is only eaten by male kohanim, a karban chatas, a sin offering, an asham, a guilt offering is only eaten by male kohanim. Behed yaksiv, but in regards to them, there's an explicit verse. The verse says in Vayikra, chapter 6, Kol zachar b'kohanim yochal osa. Every male of the kohanim can eat it, referring to the chatas. In regards to the asham, it says Kol zachar b'kohanim yochlanu. Any male of the kohanim can eat it. So that's explicitly in the verse. So I don't need it for that. So if you're going to say if you're going to say it's a reference to the shlamim brought on Shavuos to accompany the two loaves, the kivsei atzeres, that also we have a different verse for that. The verse says about the karbanos, B'kodesh hakodashim tochlenu. In the holiest of holies, you'll eat it. Kol zachar yochal oso. Every male will eat it. Now that's an extra verse. So that extra verse is Limin al Zivchei Shalmei Tzibur. That's to teach you that the sheep of Shavuos, that's what it's referring to. And they have to be eaten by males. So I don't need to learn it from the word mincha. I already learned it from this extra verse. Answer the Gemara, Tanai. It's actually an argument of the Tanaim. What's the source? Some say that the source that Shalmei Tzibur are eaten only by male Kohanim is from the fact that all karbanos are compared to mincha, and mincha is only eaten by male Kohanim. And others bring it from this source, from this extra verse, that the verse says in Bamidbar, in chapter 18, Bakodesh HaKadoshim Tochlanu Kol Zachar Yochal Oso, that's a reference to Zivchei Shalmei Tzibur. Okay, going back to this pasuk, right? Almost every carbon's mentioned here, an Ola, an Asham, a Chatas, and Miluim. So what does each one teach you? So we learn from Ola that you always need a knife in slaughtering karbanos. You learn from Mincha that only male Kohanim can eat karbanos. Chatas, what do you learn from the word Chatas? That's to tell like this, Machatas Mekadesh Bevalua, just like Chatas, if some of the meat of the Chatas were to mix into other items, let's say you took hot Chatas meat, and you put it next to cold or hot chulin meat. So the taste of the chatas meat, some of the fat, some of the secretions, the liquids are going to go into the other item of meat. So now the other item of meat is limited. You can only eat it the same way you could eat a chatas. You can only eat it for a day and that night. So just like there's a law in chatas, that law of chatas, that it's no same time, that it gives a taste into other items, and then those other items are going to be limited by it, is based on a verse. The verse is, Kol asher yigab b'vsara yikdash, whatever will touch its flesh will also become holy. So just like that's the law with chatas, of kol mekad shebevalua. That's true with all the other karbanos as well, that their taste, when it goes into an item, makes that item prohibited according to their taste. Okay, so that's from Chatas. Now another lesson. What do we learn from the word Asham? Asham is to tell you like this. Asham, just like with Asham, ain't Shafir. Let's say the Asham is slaughtered, and you notice that the Asham you can't have it because the Asham is a male animal. So just like in Asham, there's no such possibility that the fetus inside of it or the sac around the fetus is kadosh because it doesn't have that because it's a male. Afkal, so to another karbanos, even if a carbon which could be a female, let's say a toda, if it was a pregnant toda and they slaughtered a pregnant toda, in shvir v'shilya kadosh bo, the fetus inside, the sac inside, is not holy. Kasavar, because this brisa holds vlados kadshim, the children of karbanos b'aviyasan kedoshin. They only become holy once they are born. They're not holy when they're inside. And there's another point here, going to what was discussed yesterday, v'dan in efsher mishi efsher. You see, if we're learning from Asham, that just like Asham, its fetus is not holy. All karbanos, the fetus is not holy. But in Asham, it can't have a fetus, it's male. So you see that you can derive to other karbanos where it is possible from Asham where it's not possible. You can derive the possible from the impossible. Okay, the verse continues and says, Miluim, that we learn everything. There's something from the karbanos brought to sanctify the Mishkan that teaches everything else. What do we learn from there? Ma miluim mosreim b'sreifa. Just like in regards to the miluim, whatever was left over and wasn't eaten in the right amount of time was supposed to be burned. So too, that's the case with all karbanos. Ve'in ba'alei chayim mosarein b'sreifa. But if something was dedicated to holiness, and it hasn't even been slaughtered yet, then there is no such law that its leftovers are to be burned. So too, afkol, so in all the karbanos, mosarei and bisreifa, if the animal is slaughtered and now the meat is left over too late, there's a law to burn it. But if the animal is just consecrated and it hasn't been slaughtered yet, and then, the time goes by, there's no law of sreifa, the leftovers don't have to be burned.
So, Rabbi, if the mother is holy, the fetus is not holy?
If it was slaughtered when it was still pregnant. That's right. The fetus is not holy. Now, What do we learn from the word shlamim? So again, mashlam mefaglin, just like in shlam, the Torah speaks about the idea of pigul, that if there was a thought to eat it at the wrong time, the whole thing becomes contaminated. Umis paglim, and the shlamim themselves become pigul through a thought about them. Avkol mefaglin, so too all karbanos create pickles. So let's say you have a carbon ola and there was a thought of eating it at the wrong time. So just like the animal is pigul, the wine that's supposed to come with the animal becomes pigul, or mispaglim, and also the ola itself can become pigul. Okay, so this is the view of Rabbi Lezer, how to interpret this verse of Zos haTorah la'ola v'lamincha v'lachatas v'lashlamim v'lamiluim. Okay, but the Masnisatan, the Brisa was taught Mishneh Rabbi Akiva's version of this verse. The verse says, "Zos haTorah la'olo lamincha v'lachatas v'lashlam lamiluim v'lasevach hashlamim." So Rabbi Akiva also learns from each point of this verse, from each karban, something to all the karbanos. What does he learn from mincha? So ola he learns like Rabbi Lezer, that you need a knife to slaughter a karban. Mincha, what does he learn? Mincha mekadesh b'valua, just like a mincha will consecrate if some of it gets into something else. So to an all karbanos, if some of the taste of a karban gets into some other item, that other item is now limited according to the rules of the taste that went into it. So, one second, we thought it was about chatas that taught us that lesson. So according to Rabbi Akiva, you need both. We're saying itzrich lamichtav b'chatas. We need to hear it in regards to chatas. Itzrich lamichtav b'mincha. We need to hear it in regards to mincha. Because of Rachmana b'mincha, if Hashem would have only said in regards to mincha, with chatas, there's an explicit verse. Whatever will touch its meat will become consecrated. So why do we need to have an explicit verse about chatas that it consecrates what it goes into? Plus now this verse that a mincha consecrates what it goes into? Well, we need both. Because of Rachmana, itzrich lamichtav b'chatas v'itzrich lamichtav b'mincha. Because of Rachmana b'mincha, if Hashem would have only said about a mincha, I'd say mishum derakicha, because a mincha is soft, it's flour, it's a soft thing. So it's a soft thing, bala, what comes from it gets absorbed. Aval chatas, but a chatas which is meat, emalo. So maybe it doesn't give off so much. Because of rachmana b'chatas, Hashem would have said about a chatas, mishum debasar, it's because it's meat, agav deshamein kadir, because it is fat. So since it's very fat, it penetrates into the next item. Aval mincha with a mincha imalo. Maybe it doesn't penetrate, it doesn't have fat. So tzvich, let's read in both psukim. One to tell me that a mincha, its tastes that go into an item will limit that item and prohibit that item, and the other in regards to a chatas. So it goes from a chatas into an item will prohibit that item. Okay, what does Rabbi Akiva learn from the word chatas? Chatas teaches you, ma chatas ein abal menachulin. Just like a chatas can only come from things that aren't ma'aser sheni. And bayom, and a chatas has to be brought during the day. And a chatas has to be done biyadu yimanis, through the right hand. Afkol, so in all karbanos. Eino ba ela menachulin. It can't come from ma'aser sheni. And it has to be brought by yom, by day, and biyadu yimanis, and by the right hand. So that answers our question. Right? Our question was, according to Rabbi Akiva, who doesn't learn from the Pesach of Egypt, how does he know that karbanos can't be brought from ma'aser sheni? He learns it from the word chatas in the pasuk. Zos haTorah la'ola v'lamincha v'lachatas. Asks the Gemara, the chatas gufa, and the chatas itself, minalan, how do we know that it can't come from ma'aser sheni? Hamrav, because the answer to Amar because the pasuk says, v'hikriv Aaron es para chatas asher lo, and Aaron will bring the chatas bull that is coming from his, which he owns. Mishal lo v'lo mishal ma'aser, has to be what he owns, but not that which already belongs to Ma'aser Sheni. Ask the Gemara, we need to learn from chatas that a carbon is brought by day, by yom. That's from a different pasuk. By yom tzavoso, the verse says in Vayikra Zayin, by yom tzavoso es bnei Yisrael lakrivis karbaneim. On the day he commanded the children of Israel to bring their karbanos. On the day they bring their karbanos, not by night. That from b'yom tzavoso nafku. Don't we learn it from the word b'yom tzavoso? Okay, you're right. It doesn't belong in the brisa kadei naspo. Whoever taught us this brisa just threw in a word that didn't make sense. It doesn't really belong. One second. B'yadei yamanis, that the fact that karbanos have to be done by the right hand is learned from chatas. One second. We learned it from somewhere else. Mida Rabbi Bar Chana nafko. We learned it from Rabbi Bar Chana. Rabbi Bar Chana Rish Lakish. Rabbi Bar Chana said name Rish Lakish. Kol makom shenamar etzba, if the Torah uses the word finger or kohen, ein ol yamin, that means it's the right. All right, kedei nasbi, you're right. We don't learn from Chatas, we learn from those other sources. So bottom line is, what do we learn from Chatas? According to Rabbi Akiva, we learn what we were looking for. It has to come in achulin, because the fact that the Torah describes the Chatas as para Chatas asher lo, it can't come from Maaser Sheni. Yeah, question?
The pasuk about Aaron, which korban is this?
On Yom Kippur.
So it's a korban that will follow in the future, because otherwise it doesn't work, because it's also a shara from She'iv Shar. There's no Maaser Sheni in the desert.
Yeah. No, it's referring to Yom Kippur.
Okay, so it's a
It's
general.
in Achremot, yeah.
It's not in
Then, going back to that pasuk, v'zos haTorah la'olav lamincha v'lachatas. So again, according to Rabbi Akiva, la'olah is to teach all karbanos need a knife. Lamincha teaches that all karbanos can consecrate some other item if their taste gets into that other item. Lachatas teaches that just like a chatas has to come from chulin, so too all karbanos have to come from chulin. They can't come from Maaser Sheni. Asham, what do we learn from the word asham? That's to tell like this, ma asham atzmos of mutarin, just like in asham, the bones of the asham are permitted. Avkol, so all karbanos atzmos of mutarin, the bones of a karban are permitted. What do you learn from the word miluim? So that Rabbi Akiva does the same thing as Rabbi Lezer, that mosar basar, once it's slaughtered and it's left too late, then it's sreifa. Mosar balei chayim ain't a b'sreifa. But if it's still alive and it's too late, it doesn't get burned. Okay.
So that way they put all this meat at the same time on the mizbeach, different korbanot here, shlamim, the one,
Yeah.
So I'm sure they touch each other and whatever. So isn't it kill the whole thing according to mincha?
Well, they get burned right away. They get thrown into these big fires, the pieces, and they get burned very, very quickly. Okay, and also we have a rule that once the mitzvah is done, so it's done, then already you don't have to worry about it. You did the mitzvah, you put it into the fire.
But the mincha is saying that if the juice gets into the other
Before
one,
it,
all of
right.
a sudden, it
That's
changes
right.
the whole status
But
of
that's
it, right?
before it went into the fire. They didn't do the mitzvahs with it yet. They haven't finished all of what they had
So
to do
once
with
the
it.
mitzvah is done, that's it. Whatever
That's it.
happens
Now you
is
did it. Now you fulfilled your
gamarnu,
obligation.
that's it, right?
Gamarnu, exactly.
Okay.
So now, our Mishnah says that the source for the fact that karbanos can't come from Maaser Sheni and you have to pay for them is from the fact that the Torah says, "V'zavachta Pesach LaHashem Elokecha tzonu v'kar." You'll slaughter a Pesach to Hashem your God, cattle and sheep. And as Almog taught yesterday, cattle can't be a karban Pesach, so it must be cattle. It's mentioned here to say that just like karbanos of cattle are like the karban of sheep. So what does Rabbi Akiva do with that? Rabbi Akiva, what does he learn from that pasuk? My avidle, what does he do with it? Answer the Gemara now in Pei Gimel Amud Beis. Rav Nachman. He used it for the lesson of Rav Nachman. Rav Nachman, Rab Bar Avua. Rav Nachman taught in the name of Rabbi, the son of Avua. Minayin lemosar Pesach shekarav shlamim. How do we know that the leftovers of a Pesach get brought as a shlamim? Let's say a person took money and he put aside 100 coins. He said, these 100 coins are going to go for my karban Pesach. They are all holy with the holiness of Pesach. Then came Pesach. He went to buy a sheep. It didn't cost 100 coins. It only cost him 60 coins. Now he has 40 coins. Now Pesach is over. He has 40 coins with the holiness of Pesach. So what does he do with these extra 40 coins? He goes and buys a sheep and he offers it as a shlamim. The leftovers.
Or he could give it to Beit HaMikdash.
No, it's his coins. He made them holy with the holiness of Pesach, so he should go buy a shlamim and bring the shlamim.
But what he netted for, he already did it. It
Right.
was the 60.
Yeah, but he put all 100.
Now
Put
he
the
has
holiness.
to make another or netted for the other balance, no?
That's the chiddush, right? Here, the point is that within that Pesach is a form of shlamim. So once the holiness of Pesach can't sort of be channeled, so the fallback is that now it becomes shlamim. So now it gets offered as shlamim. So that's the lesson. So, and that's what this pasuk is saying. Shenamar, the pasuk says, "V'zavachta Pesach LaHashem Elokecha tzonu v'akar." You'll slaughter Pesach to Hashem your God, sheep and cattle. What do you mean sheep and cattle? You don't give cattle as a Pesach. Pesach can only be from sheep or from goats, not from cattle. So why does it say tzonu v'akar? Ella Moser Pesach Yehei L'Davar Abba Minatzonu Baka. What it's saying is that sometimes the Pesach becomes from that becomes a different type of sacrifice, a sacrifice that could be from either sheep or from cattle. So what's a sacrifice that could be from either sheep or cattle or shlamim? It's saying a Pesach, the Zavach the Pesach, the slaughter of the Pesach. Sometimes your Pesach, a sacrifice of Tzonu Bakar, becomes a shlamim. So the Gemara says, is that the source? We have two other sources for that. This idea, Mehachut Nafka, we learned from here. B'davua de Shmuel Nafka, we already learned it from the last son of Shmuel, the father of Shmuel. The Pasuk says, and if from the sheep is his carbon for a shlamim, so it could have said, why does it say l'zevach shlamim, for shlamim slaughtered? The father of Shmuel answered, what it's saying is that there is something which comes normally only from sheep, namely Pesach, but it will become for a shlamim slaughtered because it's a leftover of the Pesach. So now it becomes a shlamim. And we have a third source for the same idea. Is it this source? It's from the following source. The Tanut in a Brisa, the verse says about the shlamim, im keves umakriv. If a sheep he's offering, it's an extra pasuk. It's already said, shlamim. So what's it saying? It's for the rabbis. It's saying that when Pesach is from sheep, the tail, the alya, the fatty tail of the sheep, is also brought onto the fire and burned on the fire. Then the verse goes on to say, Kishu Omer im keves umakriv. If he's going to bring a keves as a shlamim, that's to say, lavi Pesach shavra shnaso. Let's say you have a carbon Pesach, and it's too late to use it anymore. He took an animal, and he separated it as a carbon Pesach. And now it's past a year old. Once it's past a year, it can't be used as a carbon Pesach. So then you have to take some other animal as the carbon Pesach. So this animal now is leftover Pesach. So it becomes shlamim. Ushlam maboy machmas Pesach. Let's say you have shalmi chagiga that are brought with the Pesach. It's saying that these things, by saying im keves l'chol mitzvah shlamim, they have the full status of shlamim. And therefore, sheyitenu smicha, the owner has to lean on them with all of his strength. Unesachim, and they need to have wine with them. Utnufas chazav v'shok, and you need to wave the chest and the thigh of them, like with the shlamim. And then Kishum, when the verse says, V'im eiz karbano, and if his carbon is a goat, hifsaka inyin, that's to say that the goat doesn't have the laws of a sheep. And limit ala eish, ein atuna alya. And in a goat, there is no law that the fat of the tail has to be thrown into the fire. So really we have three verses telling me the same idea of Mosar Pesach Shlamim. Three different verses saying that if you have something with the holiness of Pesach and it didn't get used as Pesach, it becomes a Shlamim. To answer the Gemara, I'll tell you we need all three. Tlasa Krayik Sivi. We have three verses telling me this idea for three different cases. Chad, one verse is telling me La'avra Zman. Let's say an animal was dedicated to be a Pesach, but it wasn't brought on Pesach, so the time for bringing it passed. Or Avra Shnaso, it was dedicated to be a Pesach, and it grew up, and by the time Pesach arrives, it's past a year old, so it can't be brought as a Pesach. That's one verse. V'chad, another verse is La'avra Zmano, if it's past its time, Pesach passed, but Lo Avra Shnaso, it's not past a year old, saying that also is reason why it will become a shlamim. And the third verse is Lo Avra Zmano. It's still even before Pesach. And Lo Avra Shnaso. And it's not even past a year. But nevertheless, this becomes Mosar Pesach because we have some other sheep that's being used as the Pesach. And therefore it's telling me it becomes a shlamim. We need each of these cases. We need a verse for each of these cases. Yes, meaning if we would have told you that when the animal is Avra Zmano, it's past Pesach, and Avra Shnaso, when it's over a year, so that's pushed away entirely from being a Pesach, now it becomes a Shlamim. Avol Avra Zmano, but if it's after Pesach, below Avra Shnaso, but it's still within the year, I'd say don't make it a Shlamim. Chaziv Pesach Sheni, just offer it during Iyar as a Pesach Sheni. Maybe it doesn't become a Shlamim. So I need a second verse to say that also becomes a Shlamim. If you would tell me that Avra Zmano, that if Pesach goes by, below Avra Shnaso, and it's not yet a year old, it becomes a Shlamim, I would say Mishum de Itchleim Pesach Rishon, because now you don't have a chance, because Pesach Rishon's already passed. Avalo avrazman avalo avrashnasa. But if it's still before Pesach, and it's still Erev Yom Tov of Pesach, and it's just that another animal was born in its place, and the time hasn't passed, and the year hasn't passed, where in theory you can still use it during Pesach Rishon. Maybe the leftover doesn't become a shlam; it still stays as a Pesach. The guy's going to have 2 Pesachim. That's I need the third pasuk to tell me that in all of these cases, Mosar Pesach becomes a shlamim. Hajin alach be'ezes Hashem yisbarach hatoda haisaba v'hadrach Allah hatoda haisaba. Okay, now again we're learning Masechet Menachos, talking all about the Karban Mincha. So we begin a new chapter now, the 9th chapter of Masechet Menachos, talking about different Karbanos Mincha. The rule of the Mishnah is called Karbanos Hatzibur v'Hayachid. All these Karbanos, namely these Menachos, whether of the nation like Omer, Shtei Alechem, or of a Yachid, of an individual, both, or the Lechem Apanim, both Min Haaretz. So most of them, the grain can come from Israel, Umi Chutz Laaretz, or the grain can come from outside of Israel. Min Hachadash, it could be the grain that just grew recently, the new grain, or Min Hayashan, or old grain from years ago. Chutz Min HaOmer Shtei Alechem, the exception for this is the Omer and the Shtei Alechem, the Karban of Pesach and the Karban of Shavuos to permit the new grain. She'enim ba'an element achadash, they have to be from the new grain, u'min ha'aretz, and from the land of Israel. V'kulon einan ba'an element ha'muvcha. Now, whenever you bring a Karban Mincha, the grain that you use to make the fine flour has to be the best grain. Ezeh muvcha shalahen, what's the best grain? The grain from these 2 places, Michnis and Zatcha. This is Alpha Lasolas. This is the Alpha, the best, the Aleph, to make the fine flour. Shnielahen, if you don't have any grain from these places, so what's second best? Aphorium, grain from this place called Aphorium, Babika, which was in a valley. Another law of the Mishnah, Kol Aratzos, all the lands in Israel, namely there were 3 states in Israel, Judea, the other side of the Jordan River, and the Galilee. Hayuk Sheros, all of them were fine. You could take from them grain for a mincha. Ella, but rather Mikan Hayumivin. They used to bring from these 2 places, from Michnis and Zatcha, or from Aforim and Babika, because they were better grains than the grains in these other places.
What are they, these 2 locations in Israel?
I actually don't know. What do they say in the Koran?
Doesn't say anything.
They give a picture, but they don't like.
Doesn't say.
It's like just south of Tiberias.
Okay, so in the Galil.
Yeah.
The area of the Galil then.
Yeah, in that area there.
Says the Gemara, Masnis, and our Mishnah, the Loki Aitan, is not like this Tana, because our Mishnah says that the Omer has to come from the new grain. But in a Brisa, we have a Tana who says a different opinion. The Tana went in a Brisa, Omer, Abba Min Hayashan, Kasher. If the Omer comes from the old grain, it's also Kasher. Shtei Alechem Abos Min Hayashan, Ksheros. The 2 breads come from the old grain, it's also Kasher. Ella, Chiser Mitzvah. But he missed out on a mitzvah. Omer, because the pasuk says, Takriv, Es Minchas, Bikurecha. You should bring your Minchas Bikurim. So since it says Takriv, that's to say, Afilu Min Ha'aliyah, even from grain that's already been cut, that's already in the storage area. And Shtei Alechem, since it says Mimosh Voseichem Taviu, from your residence you shall bring, that means V'lo Mechutz La'aretz, not from outside of Israel. And then it says Mimosh Voseichem, from your residences, it also means Afilu Min Aliyah, even from that which is already cut and in storage. What do you mean? Even that which is already cut and in storage, from the word Moshe Voseichem. Hafikti, use the word Moshe Voseichem to say it has to be from Israel. So the Gemara says what we mean is from the second part of that phrase, Mimosh Voseichem Taviu, from your residences you shall bring. Amar Kra Taviu, the verse says you shall bring, Afilu Min Aliyah, you shall bring from wherever, even from the grain that was already cut and is in storage. Asks the Gemara, V'haimi Baile, we need this verse to tell me something else. Kol Sha'ata Mevi Makom Acher, Hareu Kazet, that any other thing that you bring from another place is like this one. In other words, the other offering of chametz, namely the 10 loaves of the Todah, are like this. Just like the Shtei Alechem needs an isaron per loaf, the 10 loaves of the Todah need an isaron per loaf. So my answer is imkin. If so, the verse should have said tavi, bring. My taviu, why does it say bring in the plural tense? Shema mina tartus, to say two things. Number one, that lachmei toda are like shtei halechem, that also is brought like this one. And number two, to teach me that you can bring it from anywhere. Ideally, you should bring it from the new grain, but you can bring it from the old grain. Asks the Gemara, but doesn't it say v'hak siv reishis? Doesn't it say about the omer and about the shtei halechem? It should be the first of the harvest. It should be the first of the grain. So how can you bring from the old grain? Answers the Gemara, lemitzvah. That's just lechatchila. That's just ideally. But it haksiv chadasha. It says v'akrafta mincha chadasha. You'll bring a new mincha. So it sounds like it can't be the old grain. So no, that word mincha chadasha. That's for the lesson of the following brisa. Rabbi Nazar and Rabbi Akiva Amru, shtei halechem abos min hayashan. The two breads that come from old grain, sheros are kosher. Umani mekayim chadasha. So what do I learn from the word chadasha? Shetehei chadasha l'chol menachos. That in terms of other menachos, they can't use the new grain for the other menachos until the shtei halechem are brought. But once the shtei halechem are brought, then you can use the new grain for any mincha. So you can't bring it into the Beis Hamikdash until the shtei halechem is brought.
So the new one is being used only for Pesach, less than a year old. The grain.
The omer. That which was planted, that which took root before the omer, gets permitted by the omer, and the omer is from the new grain that grew, up now before the omer. But b'di'evad, we said this Tana holds, b'di'evad you could use even the old grain. Whereas the Mishnah holds not, it has to be from the new grain. Thank you.
Tell us about yesterday.
So, I think it was, it's very, very sad, very, very traumatic, I think, for the Jews who are there, and really for the Jews all over America. I think that's a very true point. I also think that it's a very big deal, not just for the Jewish community, but really for all Americans. I mean, all over, people were saying, I'm so sorry for your loss, and very understanding and considerate. The TSA agent would say, oh, I'm so sorry for your loss. The security guards, the Uber drivers, it's what everybody's talking about, and everybody feels very bad, and everyone wants to somehow show support and consideration, really. Very, very widespread. Okay, Rabbi Chananya ben Akashya, Me'eratza Kadosh Baruch Hu L'Zakos Yisrael, L'Ficha Kibel Em Torah Mitzvah Shenemar, Adonai Chavetz Laman Tzidko Yagdil Toravi Adir.
B'kadol b'kadash Mei Rabban, Ma'adi Brach V'Ritzei, V'Yamlit M'Chutzei, V'chai Nechon V'Mechon V'chai Yadchol Beit Yisrael, V'Adalah V'Zman Kariv V'Yomei. את הלב, את הלל שמי קדושה, אלא מינכו בחתה ושרתה, תשפלך, נחמתה, תמרן בימה במרומי, ישראל ורבנן ועל תמדהון, ועל כל תמדהון, על כל מן דסקים ברייסה, דיברתה, דין דתי בגולעתה ויתה, אלא ונחול שלמה רבה, אחינה וחיסטה, ורחמים, חיינה, רחים, סנאירי וכי, כאן בנקדה בו מדשמיה וערה במרומי, איש ומעלה בנשמיה וחיים טובים עלינו וכל ישראל במרומי, עשה שלום במעלה, עשה שלום עלינו וכל ישראל במרומי.
6:34.
Well, the earliest time for Talis and Tefillin is 6:35, so if we're... Yishtabach, I think, makes the most sense. We'll go till Yishtabach, and then we'll put on make the brach on the Talis and Tefillin.